This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Lee Rosen and Ned Days cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Rosen Institute members received this episode early, as well as exclusive segments on spending time working on your recruiting and hiring processes, an answer to a member question about upgrading your intake system, as well as sessions from our Operations Outline program, all about the critically important operations of your firm. Get access to everything you're missing at roseninstitute.com/join. Here's Lee Rosen.
It's good to be with you today from Ljubljana, Slovenia. Slovenia is a little underrated as a tourist destination, but I'll tell you, it has something for everyone. The place has plenty of tourists right now, but it's not nearly as popular as lots of other European capitals. It's not packed shoulder to shoulder, even when it gets crowded. And we're really enjoying the city. We've had visits from my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, and all of them have thoroughly enjoyed visiting this city and the surrounding countryside. It's also incredibly beautiful and popular, aside from being the birthplace of Melania Trump, which is not something that I've heard mentioned very much here. It also has beautiful mountains and lakes, and the scenery, it truly is just off the charts. If you're looking for another destination on your European vacation, well, Slovenia, it deserves some consideration.
It's time for your tech tip. I just got back from a lovely trip to the UK, where even though it's summer and I knew it was going to be warm, we had surprisingly hot and sunny weather. It was a great time. The best part about taking trips at this stage of my life is that my wife does all of the planning. Whether that's because she enjoys it or she just doesn't trust my judgment, I don't really care. I just show up and by some magic, tickets are booked, activities are planned, and accommodation has been arranged. The one area where she will afford me some input is finding spots to eat, because I am very food motivated like a neurotic pet, and that's about the only thing I'm good at. Now, if you are as driven by your stomach as I am, and the only thing you are ever looking forward to in a day is your next meal, you have probably done what I do on a regular basis when looking for places to eat and scour the Google Maps listing. I like to look at the photos so that I can make sure the tables are large enough for the obscene amount of food I plan on ordering, and whether or not I will be underdressed when I walk in wearing ketchup-stained pants I bought at the thrift store. I visit the website to look at the most up-to-date menu, see if there's a quaint story about two college friends who started with little more than a dream and a passion for cake pops or artisanal tater tots or whatever it is they're selling. I do a deep dive. At one point, I found a spot that looked good. I sent the map listing to my wife and told her to see if she liked the menu. She complained that the photos of the menu on the Google Maps listing were too small and too hard to read. Just go to their website, I said. It has a much more legible menu. And that is when she dropped something on me that changed our relationship forever. "Oh," she said, "I thought this was the website." You thought this was the website? Oh, no. Don't you know anything about Google Business Profile? Don't you understand that they probably paid somebody a lot of money to build a website that you are ignoring, and that the map listing should really just be considered a portal to their other resources they might have to offer, and that you're missing out on the very interesting information and important context that they can't necessarily include on the business listing? This is probably how people feel when they attempt to explain something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Labubu dolls to me. And that got me thinking about a small issue in particular that relates to a much bigger issue in general. Now, the small issue is that she isn't alone. There are people visiting your map listing or profile on social media or one of the channels you are using for marketing and communication, and in their minds, that is your website. And hopefully you could hear me making air quotes with my fingers, because in the same way old farts like me still talk about filming or taping, even though we haven't touched film or tape in decades, or the way some software still uses a floppy disk icon to indicate the save function, or frankly, the way manually saving something isn't really a thing anymore, the whole concept of a website when it comes to service discovery is getting incredibly nebulous. You have potential clients visiting your profiles and listings across the web who either think that it is your website or for whom the very concept of a website is vague to the point of being almost meaningless. To them, your website is no more legitimate and is probably less useful than interacting with you on their preferred platform. Oh, you only have your office hours and online booking functionality on your website? Well, the potential client thought the map listing was your website and went right on to the next firm that made contact a lot easier. If you have been slacking when it comes to filling out your profile or keeping it up to date, let this be a wake-up call. Go do that immediately. I've been hammering Google Business Profile up until now, but also be very aware that you need to be doing the same thing with Apple Business Connect and other services that may be frequently used in your area. There are some markets where Yelp and Nextdoor business pages are incredibly important. This does rub some of us the wrong way. We used to be more in control of our digital presence, and we increasingly have to work within the confines of the walled gardens created by Google, Meta, and increasingly Perplexity or ChatGPT. Discoverability goes up, but our fine-grained control goes down. Now, I would be unironically happy to join you in a crusade where we force these ungrateful consumers to look at the web pages and landing pages and forms and everything else that we poured a lot of energy into, but we also have to accept that if we want to get any clients in the meantime, this is just how the game is played. We get locked into very specific ideas about the medium or the pathway or the funnel we expect people to take. We often just assume they are going to take a very particular route that exposes them to everything we want them to see, or sometimes we try to force them to do things in a particular way and in a particular order. You are going to lose that fight. The more friction you add, the fewer clients you'll get. And this leads to the much bigger issue. There are countless areas in managing and marketing and picking technology solutions for our practices where we are just too close to the problem, too engrossed in the details, too familiar with the best practice or the way things are supposed to be done or accessed or used, that we end up miles away from how our clients and employees are using and interacting with and thinking about what we are presenting. We understand the way things worked 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We invested lots of time and effort and money into paradigms that are just becoming outdated. And instead of accepting that and moving forward, we cling to the old way, the way we paid for, the way we understand. And we just assume or hope and pray that someone will bother to do the equivalent of visiting the website to read our artisanal tater tot story. Fill out your business profiles, get some graphics made with condensed versions of team bios or testimonials or anything else you think is important, and throw them on there. Be creative, leverage all the features, posts, offers, events, FAQs, everything that's available. Wow, you published an article or posted something on Instagram, or it's a Tuesday? Make it a post, make it an event, why not? Accept that times have changed, and so too must our approach. And then think about what else in your practice might benefit from the same treatment. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip.
And now for your moment of concise advice. If you are speaking to everybody, well, then you are not really speaking to anybody. You see, the most effective marketing that you'll ever do is when you speak directly to somebody, someone specific, someone real. And the easiest somebody for you to speak to, well, it's you. Or more precisely, the version of you who once had the problem that you now solve. That person who used to lie awake at night spinning worst-case scenarios in their head. That person who was scared, overwhelmed, uncertain, and searching for a way forward. That's who you write for. That's who you speak to. And when you do, well, that's when your marketing starts to land. That's when your voice cuts through the noise. That's when people stop scrolling, start clicking, stop wandering, and pay attention. Because when one person feels seen, a dozen others line up and they say, "That's me too." This is why many smart marketers, they start right where they are. They don't need to manufacture an ideal client. They just need to remember what it's like to be themselves. You can do that too. You don't need to conjure up empathy. You've already lived it. If you are your ideal client or were your ideal client, you already know what it feels like to face the problem. You know how it shows up in someone's life. You know how they react to it. You don't have to imagine the emotion. You've had the emotion. And that's the secret. That's the edge. And it applies to every practice area, no exceptions. Estate planning, immigration, personal injury, criminal defense, startup law. It doesn't matter. If you have felt this problem, then you understand the ideal client from the inside out. And I will tell you, you don't even have to have had the problem that you're in the business of solving to fully appreciate what it's like to experience the problem. I've never been divorced, but I've been married. I've had children. I've lived the life of being a married person and worrying and wondering and thinking about the possibility of that unraveling. So many of us are in businesses where we can very much step into the ideal client's shoes and feel the difficulty, the pain, the discomfort that they are feeling. You can speak to that person because you are so close to being that person. If you are your ideal client, then you don't have to step into someone else's shoes to understand what they're feeling. No, you can live your life in your shoes and fully appreciate the problem. So if you are your ideal client, you get it. You have that understanding of what it's all about. And that understanding translates into marketing that hits harder, that resonates deeper, that attracts more of the people that you are best equipped to help. And when your practice grows and when you expand your reach and when you begin to speak to people who aren't just like you, well, you're not inventing fiction. You're expanding on something that is true, something that is powerful, something that you feel. When your marketing is real, when it's rooted in something that you felt, other people feel it. So don't write for the crowd. Don't speak to everybody. Speak to somebody. Don't aim for universal appeal. That's a trap. It turns your message into mush. Instead, speak clearly, specifically to someone. Make that one person feel understood, and you will find that you end up connecting with far more people than you ever expected. Remember, if you're speaking to everybody, you're not really speaking to anybody. That's your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Slovenia, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and Ned today. We hope you have a great weekend and an even better week next week. Keep plugging away, moving forward, and getting things done. You're on the right track. You'll get there, I promise. We're all in this together, and together we build better practices through better marketing, better management, and better technology. Until next time, I'm Lee Rosen.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of lawyers focused on working on, instead of in their practices. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your firm. Sign up for free at roseninstitute.com.